Floods outside, timings inside. Everybody is under water or under pressure right now in Pakistan. Welcome to Fourth Floor Post English. Rivers that were dealt with years ago, sold to India basically, are coming back hard this time. Ravi and Chenab. Punjab is taking the hit. Sindh is bracing for it. The ruling class has found the perfect alibi to stretch the political calendar. Maryam Nawaz arrives with full camera crews, carefully staged shots and a sermon. Sermon that if only canals and dams existed, lives would have been saved. Shahbaz Sharif echoes the same narrative. Never mind that the current flood pulse is in the rivers, which are not tied to the Indus hardware you all are selling. Example, canals or the dams. They have nothing to do with this water. Water that reaches the sea is not vested, is not the reason for canals or dams. It protects the delta from the ocean pushing into Sindh. Well, this isn't the ideology lecture I'm here to give. It's a schedule management that I am about to talk about, that these politicians are about to do. The flood buys time. The NFC meeting slides to after the waters. Contentious decisions go into delay, and the relief theatrics take the place of fixing the plumbing. Accountability hides behind the same curtain. Housing societies did not sprout in riverbeds by magic, sir. There were signatures by officials. Alim Khan, now paraded beside Maryam, part of the cabinet, has those societies, owns those societies. And the people who scrapped for decades to buy plots there are being told right now that there will be no compensation. And the narrative is, what they are selling is that India sent all that water. But the negligence is domestic, sir. Approvals were given, encroachments were tolerated, maintenance was neglected. That's why this all happened in Punjab. Where in Sindh, the messaging swings between the panic and paperwork. NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, starts the panic by saying there is 1.2 million cubic scenario rushing towards Sindh. The working calculation by private investigators points closer to 8 lakh cubic band. So why is NDMA throwing all the panic? These numbers can drown whole Sindh. If embankments are only a theatre and the budgets never reach the soil, paper walls don't hold the real water, sir. And given People's Party's incompetence, we are bound to do in Sindh. With the calendar softened by floods, the political track tries to choreograph a controlled accommodation. Confidence-building measures were put on the table. Khan's TV access was restored. Newspapers were backed. Books were allowed. Supreme Court bails arrived. Same day, full of meetings with Khan happened, or they were arranged. In the very same news cycle, Alima Khan's son were picked up. Now this combination was not random. Either it was a music offered as progress or a panic after Khan's CBM from some quarters. But everything shattered when Khan refused to cash on those CBMs. They were being offered I would say they were being offered as a trap. That refusal is the hinge of the moment now. There was an expectation that this internal rift, internal differences, PTI's differences, would flare up, especially after Alima Khan publicly scolded Salman Akam Raja over his plan to contest elections. And chatter spread that the Khan might accept his resignation. Now imagine, if the so-called establishment wanted a split, the simplest route would have been to block meetings with Khan and let the resentment ferment as it was expected. But the opposite happened. PTI leaders were allowed to meet Khan in jail. The moment that gate opened, the fracture headline died. Why were the gates opened? When establishment is against the Khan, when they wanted the party in shambles, why did they let it happen? Well, Khan said there is no resignation for Salman Akam Raja, and that didn't happen. But with the Khan's tweet, any game establishment was trying to play went away. And now Nawaz has more leverage. Nawaz Sharif has more leverage over establishment, especially after the Khan's refusal. But at the same time, Khan started using parliamentary moves as leverage, not romance. Mahmood Khan Achakzai was nominated as for the leader of opposition position in the National Assembly. Azam Swati was positioned for the Senate slot. Although the name of Raja Nasir Abbas is also being floated for the same in place of Swati. And if Nasir Abbas is the case, situation is more dire than it seems. Information is more stronger than it seems. But Achakzai's nomination, especially when he is holding banner of grand dialogue, especially when Nawaz seems interested in rethinking the continuity, it's like name a bridge and channels stay open without handing the opponents an easy target. Achakzai is precisely that bridge. Useful if grand dialogue is staged and someone has to talk to Nawaz Sharif without gifting PTI a trophy the system would immediately try to smash. The reaction gave the game away. The other partner of hybrid regime gave the game away over the Achakzai name, especially the establishment, hybrid regime, the other part of hybrid regime. The very touts of establishment who are on TV every day have denied any outreach. Earlier, began burning over Achakzai's name, which are underlined that I have been saying for so long. This track, Achakzai's whole episode, this track isn't fully owned by establishment anymore. This is something else. Well, the solo flight PTI tries to take, for example, protest in Peshawar, reads as optics rather than outcome. Nothing will come out of it. The system is not running on crowd morality. It is running on managed timing. If anything, optics without leverage only feed the rumor factory that was built for exactly this season. Around the Achakzai doorway, the bargaining noise was cranked up. This 27th Amendment floated, denied, floated again, denied again. A flirtation with the reversing the 18th Amendment was teased just long enough to spook provincial bases, Sindh, Balochistan, KPK. Televisions and anchors, journalists, businessmen rolling out new provinces carousel and selling it as an administrative realism. We all know it. This isn't reform. It's a cartography as a leverage. The constitution talks about altering the provincial limits, not conjuring the federating units out of the thin air. Even if someone tortured the language, where would the 2/3 majority in the very assemblies come from? They are trying to target, they are trying to weaken the same province. They need a 2/3 majority in the same province. If administrative efficiency were the goal, credible local government system would be empowered with money, mandate and time. That never happens because real devolution strengthens citizens, not gatekeepers. So maps are redrawn on talk shows while the pipes still leak. Panic was not limited to screens. In Sindh, list of ministers, advisors and bureaucrats rumored for the NAB action started to circulate. Pakistan People's Party went into emergency huddles. The NFC session was postponed due to floods, which almost certainly means something contentious was on the table. If those delays continue, the political and fiscal plan lands largely on the People's Party territory. To frighten Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, the establishment can dangle more CBMs into PTI direction, but they won't help, especially given the Khan's reaction. Because establishment is not looking to reconcile with Khan. They are only looking to keep Noon League and People's Party off balance. None of this happens in vacuum, sir. External actors are pressing without rescuing too. Brussels keeps pushing for GSP plus condition on human rights and media space. This is pressure tried to trade, not aid. China's regional footprint keeps expanding in this region. BRICS is getting sturdier. Modi turns up at SCO without blinking and keeps India's water trade channels exactly where New Delhi wants them. In terms of Indus Water Treaty, diplomatic signaling over the water is used to frame the neighborhood on India's terms, especially through China. Tehran rings the border security coordination through China. The same goes for Afghanistan. So, Washington's fluttering at the arm's length about op-eds, about praising army chief one day and the policy ambiguity the next day. Even the formal terrorist designation from the BLA and its Majid Brigade is exactly what it looks like. Paperwork that tightens the financing and travel nets. It is not a blank check for Islamabad, and it certainly isn't India in retreat. On the same day, some of these praises pieces were circulating. There were even news of headline of Trump cancelling trip to India. New Delhi doesn't care right now. The net effect, pressure up, and options are very thin, especially when there is a politically weakened system. So everything bends down to November, which is less a date than a mirror. The comment keeps repeating the legal line. The chief question is, ex-chief's tenure is of 5 years now. But the practical question refuses to go away. Where is the new notification? And why is there a deliberate opacity around it? Especially when rumor mill is on the rise. In this system, legal neatness follows settlement, sir, not the other way around. PTI's tactics fit that reading. The party resigned from committees, signaled no appetite for by-elections, and kept option for boycott on the table. Not because morality conquers the system, but because pressure does. None of this contradicts Achakzai Swati combination. It complements it rather. No handshake on the cosmetic CBMs. Yet institutional levers remain within PTI's reach. That is the point. CBMs were offered, Khan refused. A potential PTI split that some expected was blunted precisely because meetings with Khan were allowed. Now read the sequence thread and it explains itself. Floods are the pretext to stretch time. CBMs were presented, Khan refused, and the party was allowed to see him. Neutralizing the split some wanted. Achakzai, Nawaz, Swati, establishment, not the love letters. 27th Amendment, reversal of the 18th Amendment, new provinces. Either the panic or the bargaining soundtrack, not a reform plan. Pakistan People's Party, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, posture in public and panic in private, because every real move carries a price in their bases, in their provinces, in their politics. External actors tightening the corridors around us without offering an exit. Iran, Afghanistan, India. Who are they all getting close to? China. And number will not be decided by the stationery. It will be decided by the position where the stationery appears. The implications follow. If number is crossed by gaming rules instead of making rules, continuity will not just be labeled. Then continuity will be based on bad blood. If there is to be an actual reset rather than another pause before the next crisis, the fixes are not romantic, sir. They are ugly. Politics has to remain in the arena, so backrooms aren't the only oxygen left. And the constitution has to apply to citizens, not be tied as a ribbon to certain appointments. Everything else, photo ops at the flood's edge, trial balloons about the amendments, talk show maps about the provinces, will deliver the same thing they always deliver. Time wasted, leverage hoarded, and the new storm already visible on the river.